Hello again, friends. So, funny thing happened. I had started reading a story for Cozy Mossy, a friend of the channel, when a new viewer, hi Elizabeth, asked for the Princess and the Pea. I found that very exciting because I do love that story. I think. And then I found out it was written by Hans Christian Andersen. And now I'm wondering if I actually love that story or if he's going to pull a "and the hero dies" ending again. Then I saw that it was only a page and a half long, and I thought two things. One, we'll need another story. And two, are we sure it was Hans Christian Andersen? Then I remembered that H.W. had asked for The Storks, which is also Mr. Andersen, and I thought, why not have a whole video of soul-crushing Hans Christian Andersen? Oh, I hope my typist forgives me. So, let's start with The Princess and the Pea. Once upon a time. I really do love that. It is the best way to start a story. There was a prince who wanted to marry a princess, but she would have to be a real princess. That's right. None of those bargain basement knockoff princesses, only the real deal. I wish I could roll my eyes. He traveled all over the world to find one, but nowhere could he get what he wanted. There were princesses enough, but it was difficult to find out whether they were real ones. I mean, do the real ones have like a seal or a stamp on them? I mean, do they only bleed blue blood? How is this a thing? I think we should start calling him Prince Elitist. There was always something about them that was not as it should be. So, Prince Elitist came home again and was sad, for he would have liked very much to have a real princess. Life can be hard. After all, I was planning to go into Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. One evening, a terrible storm came on. There was thunder and lightning, and rain poured down in torrents. Suddenly, a knocking was heard at the city gate, and the old king went to open it. By himself? Are there no guards? No servants? This is a weird kingdom where you can just knock on the door and talk to the king. It was a princess standing out there in the front gate. Did she have a name tag? Was she wearing a crown? Does this king just assume all women are princesses? If so, I think I like the king. But good gracious, what a sight. The rain and wind had made her look. The water ran down from her hair and clothes. It ran down into the toes of her shoes and out again at the heels. And yet she said that she was a real princess. Paid by the word. Well, we'll soon find out, thought the old queen. But she said nothing, went into the bedroom, took all the bedding off the bedstead, and laid a pea on the bottom. Weird. Then she took 20 mattresses and laid them on the pea, and then 20 eiderdown beds on top of the mattresses. Eiderdown? Google? An eiderdown bed is a bed covering placed on top of sheets and blankets that is filled with small, soft feathers or warm material. So she put 20 blankets on top of the bed. That would be suffocatingly warm. On this the princess had to lie all night. In the morning she was asked how she had slept. "Oh, very badly," she said. "I have scarcely closed my eyes all night. Heaven only knows what was in the bed, but I was lying on something hard, so that I am black and blue all over my body. It's horrible." Now they knew that she was a real princess because she had felt the pea right through 20 mattresses and 20 eiderdown beds. Nobody but a real princess could be as sensitive as that. I think there may be other words for someone like that. I bet she leaves a bad Yelp review, too. So the prince took her for his wife, for now he knew that he had a real princess, and the pea was put in the museum, where it may still be seen if no one has stolen it. There, that is a true story. No, it is not. I cry foul. On the bright side, it was pretty much as I remember. If push comes to shove, I kind of prefer Once Upon a Mattress. Good musical. Bad name. We now move on to The Storks. I have not read this before. I am so very excited and nervous. On the last house of a small town there was a stork's nest. The stork mother was in it with her 4 little young ones, who stuck their heads out with their little black beaks, which hadn't yet turned red. A little way off, on the ridge of the roof, stood the father stork, very stiff and upright. He had drawn up one leg so as to give himself some little occupation while he stood on guard. You would have thought he was carved out of wood, he stood so still. It must look very distinguished, I'm sure, my wife having a sentry by her nest, he thought. People can't possibly know I'm the husband. They're bound to think I'm under orders to stand here. That looks very well. So he continued to stand on one leg. A pack of children were playing down below in the street, and when they saw these storks, one of the cheekiest of the boys, and then all of the rest of them, began to sing the old rhyme about the storks. That is, they sang what they could remember it. Stork, stork, stone, fly to your own. Your wife's on her nest with 4 fat young'uns. The first will be hanged by the neck. The second'll be stuck. The third'll be burned. The fourth'll be overturned. Yup, Hans Christian Andersen. I keep wondering why we keep reading these stories. Oh, that's right. HW likes this one. Hi, HW. Oh, listen to what those boys are singing. Wait, I was supposed to sing that? Fly to your home. No, fly home to your own. Your wife's on her nest with fat 4 young'uns. The first to be hanged by the... This is a terrible song. We'll keep moving on. Oh, listen to what those boys are singing, said the little storks. They're saying we shall be hung and burnt. Don't you worry yourselves about that, said the mother. Don't listen to it, and then it can't matter. But the boys went on singing and pointing at the storks. Only one boy, whose name was Peter, said it was wrong to make a game of the animals and wouldn't join in. Oh, I like Peter. Good for you. The stork, too, tried to comfort her young ones. Don't you worry about it, she said. Just look how quiet your father is standing there, on one leg, too. But we're so frightened, said the young ones, and they drew their heads right back into the nest. Next day, when the children came out again to play and saw the storks, they began their song. The first'll be hanged by the neck, the second'll be stuck. Shall we really be hanged and stuck, said the little storks. No, certainly not, said their mother. You'll have to learn how to fly. I shall practice you all right, and then we shall go out into the meadow and pay a visit to the frogs. They'll make us a bow and sing quack, quack, and then we'll eat them up. That'll be a real treat. Not for the frogs. And what then? The little storks asked. Why, then all the storks in the whole country will gather together, and then the autumn maneuvers will begin. You'll have to fly very well. That's of the greatest importance. For anyone that can't fly, the general runs him through with his beak and kills him. Good Lord. I thought this was a children's story. Right. I do hope we put a content warning on this. You heard we were killing storks in cane, didn't you? So you must mind and learn when the drilling begins. Then we shall be stuck all the same, as the boys said, and just listen, they're singing it again. Listen to me and not to them, said the mother stork. After the big maneuvers, we shall fly away to the hot countries. Oh, ever so far from here. Over the forest and mountains, then to Egypt we shall fly, where there are some 3-cornered stone houses that rise up in a peak above the clouds and are all called pyramids, and are older than any stork can imagine. There's a river there that overflows so that all the country turns into mud, and you can walk about in the mud and eat frogs. Ooh, said the little young ones. Yes, indeed. That is beautiful. You don't do anything but eat all day long, and while we're enjoying ourselves so, there isn't a single green leaf on the trees in this country. It's so cold here that the clouds freeze to bits and come tumbling down in little white rags. It was the snow she meant, but she couldn't explain it any better. And do the naughty boys freeze to bits too? Asked the young ones. No, they don't freeze to bits, but they come very near it, and they have to sit indoors in a dark room and mope. Whereas you can fly about in a foreign land where there's flowers and hot sunshine. Some time passed by, and the young ones were grown so big that they could stand up in the nest and look a long way around. And the father stork came flying to them every day with nice frogs and little snakes and every other kind of stork dainty he could find. Oh, I know what a dainty is. It's like a delicacy or a good thing to eat. Shakespeare uses the term a lot. Of course, that's always better in the original Klingon, but I digress. Oh, and he was amusing when he did tricks for them. He would turn his head right round to his tail and clatter with his beak as if it was a little rattle. And then he would tell them stories, which were all about the marsh. Now attend to me. You must be learning to fly, said the mother stork one day. So then all four of the young ones had to come out onto the roof ridge. Oh, how they did sway about. How did they balance with their wings and nearly tumble down? Look at me. Do, said the mother. This is how you must hold your heads. This is the way you must place your feet. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's what'll help you out in the world. Then she flew a little way, and the young ones made a little clumsy jump and bump. There they lay. They were too heavy in the body. I don't want to fly, said one of them, creeping back to the nest. I don't care about going to the hot countries. Do you want to freeze to death here? Then when winter comes? Do you want the boys to come and hang you and burn you and roast you? I'll just go call them. Oh, no, said the little stork, and he hopped out again on the roof with the others. On the third day they were able to fly properly for a little, and then they thought they could stay hovering in the air, and they tried to, but bump, down they came, and they had to ply their wings again. Then the boys came out in the street below and sang their song, Stork, stork, stone. Shall we fly down and peck out their eyes, said the young ones. Oh, Anderson. No, let them be, said the mother. Just listen to me. It's much more important. 1, 2, 3. Now fly to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now to the left, round the chimney. That last flap of the wings was so pretty and correct that you shall be allowed to come to the marsh with me tomorrow. There will be several very nice families of storks there with their children. Let me see that mine are the prettiest, and mind you strut. It looks well and makes you respected. But aren't we to take revenge on those naughty boys? Asked the little stork. Let them squall what they please. You'll be flying up in the clouds, and we'll be in the pyramid country when they'll be freezing, without so much as a green leaf or sweet apple. Will we be revenged on them all the same? They whispered to each other. And then there was more drilling. Of all the boys in the street, there was none so naughty at singing rude songs as the very one who had begun it, and he was quite little, not more than 6 years old. The storks, to be sure, thought he must be 100. He was so much bigger than their father and mother, and what did they know about the age of children and grown-up people? All their revenge must be spent on this one boy, for he had begun it, and kept on at it. The young storks were quite exasperated by him, and the bigger they grew, the less they could bear it. At last their mother was obliged to promise them that they should have a revenge, but she wasn't going to take it before the last day they were in that country. We must first see how you behave at the great maneuvers. If you fail there, then the general will stab you in the breast with his beak, and then the boys will have been right in one way at any rate. So let us see. Yes, you shall, they said, and they did bestir themselves. Google, help me out with bestir. Bestir, verb. Make a physical or mental effort, exert or rouse oneself. They rarely bestir themselves except in the most pressing of circumstances. Thank you, Google. Every day they practiced and flew so charmingly it was a pleasure to see them. Then autumn came on, and all the storks began to gather before they should fly to the hot countries, while we have winter here. Those were maneuvers. They were made to fly right over the forests and towns just to see how well they could fly, for indeed it was a long journey they had before them. The young storks did their affair so nicely that they got excellent with frogs and snakes. This was the highest possible mark, and they were at liberty to eat the frogs and snakes, and so they did. Now for our revenge, they said. To be sure, said the mother stork, I have thought of something that will do beautifully. I know where the pond is, where all the human children lie, till the stork comes and fetches them to their parents. The pretty little children sleep and dream such lovely dreams as never come to them afterwards. All fathers and mothers want a little child like that, and all children want a sister or a brother. Now then, we'll fly to the pond and we'll fetch one for each of the children who didn't sing that naughty song and make fun of the storks. The other children shan't have any. But that one that began the song, that horrid beastly boy, screamed the young storks. What are we going to do about him? Why, in the pond there lies a little dead child that has drunk itself to death. We'll take him. We'll take that to him, and he'll cry because we brought him a little dead brother. Oh, okay. But the good boy, you haven't forgotten him, that one that said it's wrong to make a game of animals. We'll bring him a brother and a sister as well, and because that boy's name is Peter, you shall be called Peter too. What was wrong with Hans Christian Andersen? Who hurt this man? Can we get him into therapy? And as she said, so it came about, and therefore all storks were called Peter, and they are all called so to this very day. H.W., you are a kind and wonderful person and a great friend, but no more Hans Christian Andersen. I'm going to have to go look up betterhealth.com after this. Why do we read this to our children? Why does anyone want a fairy tale life? Do they hate themselves? Boy, oh boy. You know, I thought I was traumatized by the robber bridegroom. It doesn't hold a candle to this one. We have come to the end of another video. Please like, share, and subscribe to help my tiny channel grow. My dream of 100 subscribers doesn't seem as crazy as it once did, and it's all thanks to you. I am now seven away. Seven. The number is following me. If you would like to be among the first to know when I put my stories on YouTube, please remember the notification bell. And please leave comments, as it helps defeat the evil algorithm of YouTube gatekeeping. If you would like to join me on Patreon, Instagram, or Facebook, there are links in the description. Thank you all for being here. Now, a special thanks to my Patreon supporters. I am here to thank you, my wonderful and amazing Patreon supporters. We now have 8, well, sort of 10, but 3 of you are together. But it doesn't matter, because I love you all. I was so excited that I had to take the night off here in my beautiful hideaway for a nice drink. So thank you, Robinson, Ida, Teresa, Darren, Brick's Journey, Karen, William, and now Josh, Colleen, and Callum. I am forever grateful to you all. All right, cut. Phew, I think we got away with it. Wait, why are you snickering, cameraman?